Hi everybody, just doing a quick video here on some various wire sizes and how to identify it. So wire sizes, they start from, the smallest that I have here is a 22 gauge, and then they go up. You'll see 22, 20, 18, 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 1 gauge, and then they go to 1/0 gauge, 2/0 gauge, and there's actually a 3/0 and a 4/0, which I don't have samples of, but the 3/0 is bigger than this, and the 4/0 is actually twice this size. So you can imagine the size of that wire. They use that wire on like transport trucks, heavy equipment, and whatnot. Your vehicles, depending on the circuit on your vehicle, they would use anything from a 1 gauge down to a 6 gauge. And then the smaller computer controlled vehicles nowadays, they run like an 18 gauge, even a 20 gauge, very low current. You can see too the types of wire. This wire here it's not a stranded wire, it's a solid wire. So this is a 22 gauge. They use this wire a lot in like telecom and your thermostat on your furnace. They'll use this wire, very low voltage, low amperage wire. And then you'll see this is the 20 gauge, the next size up. Now you'll notice these wires are tinned, so they have a tinning to it. They use that a lot in marine applications where there's high corrosion, high water. They'll use a tin wire. Just helps in the corrosion factor. Then when you get up into your 16 gauge and your 14 gauge, these are probably the most widely used size of wiring out there in cars and equipment, ATVs, stuff like that. So this, you'll see there's quite a few strands in there, and it's a little more flexible, so it's easier to work with when you're getting into tight places and around different corners and whatnot. And again, those ones are untinned. And then when you start going up in amperage draw, the size of your wire goes up. And now when you get to you see this 10 gauge, it's not very pliable, and even the 8 gauge. So it is a multi-strand, but it's not a fine multi-strand like the 6 gauge here. You can see how pliable and how many different strands there is in there. And then when you get into the bigger wires, they're usually a thinner strand. Like I say, it's a lot easier to bend this around a corner in a truck than it is something with less strands but a thicker wire. So again, depending on what you're working on, those are the basic wire sizes. Different companies deviate a little bit from this on their heat ratings and whatnot, but usually the heat ratings are written on the jacket. This one is embossed in there. This supplier actually writes it in white, but it got cut off there. So a lot of times the manufacturer of the wire will have the ratings of the wire actually written on the casing of the wire, so you'll know if you have to use it in a high heat application, what voltage you can use it at. So there's a lot of information there from the supplier that you want to check out before you do your project, just to make sure you don't put something in that's too light and it'll end up burning up on you. I hope that helps, and thanks for watching.